I am more than grateful to see all of us assembled to iron out some of the misconceptions, some of the foul thinking caused by so many years of being divorced from mother. Being divorced from mother is a very dangerous thing. You degrade the child. The child's natural food is his mother's breast. Taken away from his mother's breast, problem begins. But before I continue, I have to give a multitude of thanks to Dr. Sebi for allowing me the privilege to be in front of you today. And I hope that my presentation would compliment you in some way. But complimenting him leads me also to Brother Ali Lamont. Brother Ali Lamont represents to the black community in New York. He represents a gem. Why a gem? A gem because I was getting ready to lead this country. I have traveled far and wide. It took me 18 years of research to put a compound together that would complement black people. After completing these compounds, they were tested in 2 patients first, a pair of twins that had asthma, no longer had asthma, had asthma. Then a blind man, Mr. Fredericks. He's seen after being blind for 11 years. So I began to feel somewhat encouraged to pursue this matter, this entity we call healing today. But I also have to compliment the Usha family for supporting me and the Institute, which they make up today. A large part of it, including my wife. It is my wife and the Usha family that has maintained the continuity of this institute. I am not the founder. The founder is my wife. The creation of the compounds is my wife. I would like to take the credit, but how would I feel when it is not the truth? It is my wife. My wife educated me, or continued to educate me, after my mother had inculcated certain things in my head. Because I have not listened to anyone, and I will not listen to anyone save my mother. She is the only one that could adequately make a recommendation to me that would be equitable. Why I came out of my mother. But my wife, when I met her, like every other brother, I was snorting cocaine. I'm doing a whole lot of things. She said to me, I heard that you cured someone of a dreadful disease. I said, yes, but why aren't you healing black people? I said, because if I leave my job to heal black people, I would starve to death. She said, why? I said, because we are at a level that it is difficult to see healing and nutrition. If I come with nutrition, I'm going to remove from the table what they like. And this would present a problem. So even though I'm here tonight, prepared to present to you a perspective that has never been tried before in history, evidently, starting off with the Africans. The Africans were not the creator of medicine because he simply didn't need it. Why should a healthy man create medicine? The African was not the violators of the laws of life. So as we journey tonight on this subject of healing and nutrition, We want to now retract, just go back into the pages of history. Because to place us back on that journey that would maintain health and stability, we have to place the seed in the environment that is conducive to that seed. For instance, I would take the burdock plant and take the seeds to Central America, plant them in the soil, and it would die. It would never grow. Why? Because the genetical code of the plant was created by life to only generate its energy in the temperate region. If I also take a banana and plant that in Canada, it will not sprout because its structure is to develop and grow, mature in the tropics. If I take the quetzal bird from Guatemala and put him in America, he also would die. If I take a gorilla and place him in Alaska, he would perish. So would be the polar bear in Africa. So we see that life, in creating all living species, they were placed in specific geographical locations with specific food. If a plant, a bird, and an animal, as we call them, what about the Homo sapiens? Are we not chained, married to that same procession of life? Are we going to divorce ourselves from that procession? Well, you can do so. We have done it. And I was a recipient of that. I was a recipient of that life that was given to us once removed from my mother's breast. Now, I am multi-religious. I am multi-religious, multi-divided. But when I return home at night, I eat one food, the devil's food. If I worship the devil and eat God's food, I will live forever. But if I worship God and eat the devil's food, my days are limited. This I saw with my brother. My brother is a preacher, or was a preacher. I said to him, you know, I don't go to church. I don't go to any temples. My mother was sufficient, but to you it was necessary to be a preacher. Why, I do not know. Because I simply don't know anything. But as for you, who have chosen this particular road, this perspective, your Bible said, the herbs are for the healing of the nations. But when you get sick, where do you go? You go to the doctor to use some carcinogens and inorganic. What are you saying to God? These are the truths that we are not prepared for tonight. These are the truths I saw from a little boy that placed me in odds with my very friends and my family. But I had to live this truth. I have no control of my journey. Most certainly, I didn't want to be here tonight talking about healing. I wish that this was a subject that was entertained 50 years ago. Then I would not have to be here. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of what I wanted, the journey of life said, Sebi, you will be that man. Why me? I'm the loudest mouth. I am uncompromising. I compromise to no one. Sufficient enough while we're closed. I have to be obedient to that cosmic procession. So I said to him, you drink cow milk, you eat lamb. He big rack of lamb. He said, I don't eat pork. I said, pork was not made by God, lamb either. The lamb was made by some Germans. And the lamb contained a higher degree of acid than any pork. The only thing that the pork has is a worm that eats your brain. But that lamb is where they get lanolin from. Imagine lanolin in your bloodstream. My brother laughed at me. His wife laughed at me. But many of you in this audience knew my brother. Lori's one. She met my brother. My brother passed last year at age 45. His wife passed 1 month later. Why? They prayed to God, but they ate the devil's food. We're not going to think that we're going to get away by pretending. God one day, the devil another. Now come on. This is outrageous. But this is the result of removing a baby from his mother's breast. The result is malnutrition. Every disease in the world, the underlying cause, malnutrition that breaks down the mucous membrane and thus begins to cover groups of cells. Whatever group of cells is covered will determine what disease you will have. Like for instance, if the mucus is in the nose, like I always say, it's sinusitis. If it's in the bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. If it's in the lung, it's pneumonia. If it's in the prostate gland, it's prostatitis. If it's in the joints, it's arthritis. But what is the underlying cause? Mucus. We didn't see that. We couldn't see it. Everything comes in time. We grow in time. I am the chastisement. I am the instrument of chastisement. Every one of you that ever come to the Usha Institute, you come with your diabetes. I said, please, don't eat this thing. Don't eat no carrots, please. Don't eat no beans. Don't eat no beans. Don't eat no starch. But Sebi, what am I going to eat then? We remove the gorilla from Africa, put him in a zoo in America, and give him peanuts, give him cashew, give him turnips. Did the gorilla eat this in Africa? Then I was called from the zoo because a gorilla had a tumor. The gorilla's dying. Gorillas naturally live 240 years. A gorilla only lives 50 years now. And you live in a cage in the zoo. So are we any different? We talk of nutrition. What is nutrition? We have the slightest idea. Everything that I ever give a patient or a customer of mine or ours at the Usha Institute is nutrition. Like the judge of the Supreme Court said, do you give the same compounds to everyone? I said, yes, ma'am, I do. Because there's only one disease. What do you mean one disease? Well, right there I am cracking down the edifice of the Western medicine. But I didn't care what edifice come down. Are we going to be in the interest of humanity or I in the interest of the black race? But when I appeal to the black race, who are they educated by? Whose method? Good question. The devil's method. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0. That did not come out of the jungles of Africa. And remember, for us to be healthy again, for us to love each other again instead of multi-division, is it a fact that we have to go back to that very beginning? But no, our beginning has been distorted. We are told that we came out of the desert of Africa. What desert? A black man cannot live in a desert. His skin has too much iron. He will dehydrate in the desert. He lives in the forest where there's humidity, where there are a bunch of animals and rivers. He did not eat from a can, a box, or a bottle. So what did he eat from? He ate from the tree, straight to his mouth. You want it any fresher than that. And when he bathed in the river. Without the 200 carcinogens, and he didn't wear any clothes. But that was indicative of a savage. And those of us, our children, the African children, is ashamed of that particular state. And because we're ashamed, you pay. the Caucasian food. Wear the Caucasian clothes, like I am here in front of you. Which I have to do because when I was wearing the African clothes, you all didn't come to me because I look too cheap. So, what is nutrition? Nutrition, there's only one food for the black man. That food is electrical. That has never been brought to you. Genetics have never been considered. I came to New York, and Annette Thomas, who's in the audience, told me, why don't you come to New York? I said, I don't want to go to New York because there's too many healers in New York. They know too much. And I do not want to add to the pot. And for some unknown reason here, I am in New York. And as I appear in New York, what do I found? I found people who call themselves healers recommending tofu. Just begin with the tofu. What is tofu? Bean curd. Bean curd from what? Soybean. Was the soybean made by life or was it made in a laboratory in England? Now, if it was made in England, it is an incomplete molecular structure. Meaning it has no place within your biological structure. Why? It cannot assimilate. Because there is nothing in you that resembles that soybean. Didn't our brother George Washington Carver, thanks to Jay, who brought us up to date, one of our members at the Usha Institute, he showed us where brother George Washington Carver found that the peanut had a beautiful oil, very good, full of oil. He also found that the soybean had a nice, creamy, white milk. Good for plastics. Now, intelligent black men and women eat soybean and they eat tofu. Very intelligent black men. Well, I'm not intelligent. I just happen to have my eyes open. At least a little bit. George Washington Carver used the soybean to create plastics. And from the same source of plastics, I'm going to derive my nutrition. It's just a sensible thing. And as we investigate further, we find that this soybean has inorganic silica. What's going on? We tell me all our religions, our philosophies, our ability to interpret history. What purpose did it serve? We dying faster now than before. But we entertain history. I never read a history book. I am history. Yesterday and tomorrow now. So why should I read me? I've never found that necessary. But I found my brother who read history, he never had one contribution to make to the black race. Why? Because his historical documentation was also white. It was white. So the black man coming from Africa, straight to America without no clothes on, felt the chill of the northern region of the planet for the first time. And he felt starch in his mouth for the first time. Now, this is where we're going to end this little chapter, and then we go on to another. If the African people did not eat carrots, beets, rice, turnips, hog, cow, because cow, wheat, what did the African eat? It was the most important thing to bring to a people, not philosophy or history, religion. What goes in his mouth to keep him within that cosmic order that he could communicate? But no, that was behind. That was later. So let us feed this individual standing in front of me who been ravished from his mother 400 years ago, who have been eating pork and beef and chicken, stand in front of me and he's going to understand what? When his computer has been derailed. There's a language in computers. G in, G out. Garbage in. What else? So when I talk, I am shaking the foundation that we have accepted for so many diabetic. I was impotent, could not have sex at 29. I was wearing glasses. I weighed 291. Back pain. I went to the homeopathic doctor. He said me drink carrot juice. I went to the allopathic. He gave me some chemicals. I went to some Chinese. The same thing. No result. So I decided to go to Mexico by the recommendation of a brother that lived in New Orleans by the name of Randall Evans. He said, look, there is a man in Mexico will heal you. You go there. As I stepped in the man's place, the man had all these women around him. Plenty women. I was the only male. They came as suspicion. So he said to me, you were the gentleman from California. I said, yes. Well, let me deal with you now, because I have these people will have to stay here 2 or 3 days, but you'll be returning. I said, yes. He said, don't tell me what's wrong with you. I said, but sir, I have to. No, you don't have to tell me what's wrong with you because you make mistakes and you don't even know it. I said, but sir, I have 5 diseases. He said, no, you see, shut up. You do not have 5 diseases. You have 1 disease. You see? The man gave me his compounds, and 94 days later, diabetes gone, impotence left, obesity, I lost 89 pounds. My waistline is now as it was at 18 years of age. But before it was 38, now it's 29. What's happening? I returned to the United States, associated with one of the best organizations I've ever known. I was a member of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he was the first man. To make me aware of food, eating with him at his table on Woodlawn Avenue in Chicago. He said to me, we're eating meat, but this is no good. But if I tell the black race not to eat meat, who will join? I mean, just removing the pork alone, he said, cause them to run away. So we are not supposed to eat this. So this man is very much responsible for this journey you see also. He played a very important role, because he opened my eyes to the devil. That was most important. But I want to say this, because information, new information, or information that comes and seems to challenge the one that you've accepted, if you're careless, you'll cause that information to play havoc in you. Like for instance, when I, in my early days of healing, I went to see Mrs. Holloman. I said, Mrs. Holloman, how do you feel? She said, oh, I feel so good. That salve you made is so good, Dr. Sebi. My pains are gone. What am I going to eat? I said, I want you to drink plenty carrot juice. I want you to drink beet juice for your blood. She said, stop. Just a minute. I said, what's the matter? She said, you intend to heal black people? I said, yes, ma'am. Well, please, don't even assume the position of a healer at this moment, because at this time, because you are making recommendations that are totally out of order. Like for instance, ma'am, carrot juice. You want me to drink carrot juice? I said, yes, ma'am. All the healers in LA, San Francisco is recommending carrot juice. New York too. But I live in LA then. She said, well, look, son, before you continue, go and do some more research. Go into the field of industrial agriculture. Now, here is a man who never been to school. I have never been to school, and I do not read books. I will never read one now. But these books, I had to read. These books I had to use to do research by studying them. And as I study industrial agriculture, what I found, everything that you find in a supermarket was made in a laboratory. That's where I said, we pray to God, but we eat the devil. Everything. The only thing in a supermarket that is not made in a laboratory is watercress and a coconut. That's all. Nothing else. Nothing. rocket is made by nature of God. It's made by a laboratory. But those of us who thought that the information, or believed that the information we was withholding in us, walking around proud, I am this and I am that, we were playing the same game everyone else was playing, the game of ignorance. Like my grandmother said to me, which was my teacher also, beside my mother, my grandmother said, yours is not to walk behind a hearse taking dead people to a graveyard. Yours is not to walk in front of a hearse that is taking dead people to a graveyard. Yours is to stand on the side of the road and watch dead people take another dead one to be buried. Not to join the procession. And today, it is that position that gives me this energy, the independence that I am not a member of any organization or anyone. I could think free as I wish, as long as it is consistent with life. I am about life. So here's what we're talking about tonight, life. Food is electrical. So if the African people did not eat carrots and beets and rice and chicken and all that stuff, what did he eat? But our teachers and our professors only came with all of the sciences and anthropology and archaeology and history. But here you are giving this information to a people that has been derailed. Even if the information was precise and concise, would they digest that information? Impossible, because the computer has been interrupted. So we should now go back and ask those historians, what did our fathers eat? I bet you he wouldn't know. So what was he teaching all the time? I did not read his books or heard his arguments, but I am happy to know that out of the perspective that we represent, I am able to compliment you and myself, not out of a philosophy of something that took place 10,000 years ago. And the funniest thing I always watched was this Egypt that they always gave us. Egypt was always the thing that they gave us as the beginning of civilization. But was it true? I would have to say that the consistency. No, I'll have to establish a particular premise. Like for instance, is it consistent to open the body of an individual? No, it isn't. But where was the first operation performed? In Egypt, isn't it? So it wasn't too cool, isn't it? But look at the food that they were eating. They were eating ducks and cows. As the sister said, dead food. Well, what do you expect out of an individual to eat? Dead food, dead things. And just look at the conversations. The conversations today is never in support of life. It is always about something dead. It cannot be about life, because if we entertain life, you would not be talking about it. It would be no need. And if you talk about it, you'd be talking about what the sister said. Food. But food is electrical. Our food is electrical. So what are those foods? The natural plants, the natural vegetation. But in America, we have so many impregnation to the naturalness of life. This is what you have now. Anything that goes out of the ground, no, no, no. Everything that goes out of the ground does not necessarily mean it is natural. To begin with, we said the carrot. It grows out of the ground, but is it natural? No, it was made in Holland. When I gave a speech at WLIB 5 years ago that carrots were unnatural, they threw stones and eggs at me. But when Nova came out with the program 1 year later and said, yes, it was made, and it was made in Holland. But yet, when I travel to Detroit and see my Muslim brothers eating carrot cake, how do you think I feel now? I don't feel too cool, isn't it? Because I can't tell that brother, look, he's up on the carrot. What do you mean? I say, man, the devil made him. He still eat his carrot cake. What could I do? He's going blind. We take the comfrey plant. Comfrey's a good plant, right? Wrong. Comfrey comfrey is unnatural. Comfrey was made in the laboratory also by hybridization. You will never find comfrey in the natural jungles, as they call them. In the natural forest, never. Burdock is natural. You always see burdock all around the place. Dandelion, red clover, planted. But you will never find comfrey in the naturalness of life. It's only found in someone's plantation. I was one here in Africa and I saw these little bugs, as we call them, locusts. It was coming down on Kenya to eat those beans that they were growing. Everybody was angry and everybody was worried because the locust going to eat the beans. Well, I was happy because these Africans now will not eat that starch. Locust does not eat anything natural. They only eat things that are unnatural, just like the little bugs that you have in your garden. Why does the bug eat the burdock plant? Why does the bug eat the dandelion plant? But if you go in the middle of the burdock plant and the dandelion, the red clover, make a little circle and just weed it out and plant a carrot plant or a beet plant, next day those bugs would eat that stuff up for you. Well, why don't they eat the other plants? Because they are made by life itself. And the bugs and that plant are in harmony with one another. But this stuff they call carrot, no way. No way. They're going to eat it up for you, doing you a favor. But what happens, since we have become so mechanical using 1, 2, 3, and 4, and A, B, C, and D, and you want to apply that to life, it fouls up. It does not equate. It just simply does not equate. We apply that to life. And what we do, we spray the plant. When the bugs come tomorrow, the bug said, oh, he sprayed it now, fella. Let him eat it. I would have liked to live one moment of my life with the feeling of being unrighteous. But I know for a fact that I am a righteous man from the days of Africa. Why am I righteous? I'm not a sinner. I don't have to save my soul by no God about no sin. Why? I came out of Africa. Remember how they found me, you know? I was eating the fruits of the tree, like the Bible said. Fruit shall be for meat, you know. And the herb shall be for healing. And I know for a fact that God did not make no milk to make no clothes. But what happened, when the foreigners came, the Arabs and the Europeans, and they saw the black man without no clothes, they said he was naked. Well, if I call a man naked who have lived like this since creation, would he really understand what you're talking about? No. No, he wouldn't even know what the word means, right? But it was no rape. Moment of my life and say that I was, well, you're not perfect, you know. And I oftentimes wonder, what do they associate with perfect? Because I have 10 fingers, and my faculties are very nice, just like yours, no more than yours, no less, because I am not stronger than you, and I'm not weaker than you, because I'm not a strong man, I'm not even a man, because I don't know what a man is. The Caucasian wrote that word man, and so I have to find the category of a man because the Caucasians say this word exists, but when I was in the forest of Africa, did that word exist? I'm a man now, and a man has principles. He has principles, he has ethics, he has morality, he has a whole bunch of stuff in order to live. But that man in the forest ain't had none of that. He just lives, isn't it? It's very easy, but now being a man, I have to lead my woman. But now when I look at the forest and I look at the naturalness of life, a male animal leads female. Not one female in the jungles of Africa or anywhere in the world would allow any male to lead her. So that's another philosophy. That's another number. You see, philosophy and reality differ. Philosophically, I'm supposed to lead you. But how could I lead a woman when I came out of one? are more than me, unless I am more than you, unless, no, it's not that, I am a male. Whatever, because I have a penis and you have a vagina, makes us different, but we have roles to play. But why should it be, my role has to be more than yours? That's quantitative, isn't it? Again, numbers. Numbers. When I love, I'm supposed to love in percentage, because I cannot love my wife as much as I love my mother, or my mother as much as I love my wife. Well, I don't have any mechanism in me that goes up and down saying, well, love this one 25%, 50. How do you do that? That's numbers, isn't it? We live natural. So the subject is nutrition. Say a black child through nutrition. But what is nutrition now? We are very confused. Because our kids know how to eat. This is the set, you put a foot. The BS said the sugar. In 1960, I was taking a barbecue in New Orleans, Louisiana. Two physicists, white physicists, were leaving the country. I'm taking a cut and pay more than half. And they asked me why were they doing that. They said, well, because in a few years, America will be killing each other up in masses. I said, why? Because you're consuming sugar and salt. You see a man that lives in the forest, that eats the fruits and eat the vegetation like the gorilla. You do not see any gorilla put those salt in his leaves, right? Well, if the gorilla does not put salt in his leaves, you think we did? Yeah, we ate leaves. Sure we did. I took a group of you to Honduras, just November past. And what you guys did? You all went to the forest and ate these plants that were growing. Not even rooting them up. Let them grow. While they are growing, they are delivering energy straight from the source. But when you pluck it up, you have removed it from its source of life. The African never ate that way. He never plucked anything up. He ate it while he was growing. Just like the monkey. But you can't do that now because that's savagery. Now we come to the clothes. I was invited to Venezuela to see a young sister. She's 18 years of age, and the one thing she hated and she could not stand was clothes on. So she lived without no clothes, but it was embarrassing to her rich father. Send her to England, send her to France, Germany, and the United States to find what cure was there for this young lady. So they heard about the infamous Dr. Sebi, because my name was all over the Caribbean as being some other than. But he took a risk and said, come on to Venezuela. And I went to Venezuela, place named Santa Cruz. He said to me, there is your patient. She has no clothes on. I said, that's fine. I go in the room with her, and she said, well, are you embarrassed because I'm naked? I said, oh, no, you're not naked, you're natural. So just behave ourselves now. Just start off right. You're not naked. Naked is a Caucasian identification. Like you call us Negroes and blacks. I'm not a black man. I'm not even an African. I am the son of that land that the white man called Africa. Just like you and me. We are from the same gene pool. We're not going to get angry because the information, like I said, shakes foundations. Okay? She said, come I'll show you something. And she told me all of this artwork that she did while she was naked. It was so, she takes sand and she would color the sand and make designs so pretty. I said, what happened? No, she said to me, so are you going to be the psychiatrist? I said, no, I have two questions. And depending on how we answer the first one will determine whether I'll ask the second. You see, I'm very fast. I'm a Sagittarius, they say. That's why I don't read books, because it takes too long flipping these pages. You know? And then get nothing in the end. Because all my friends who have PhDs in California, they all are sick and dying. So I don't know what they read those books for. So anyway, she said, when I put clothes on, like I'm suffocating, and I tell my father, but he don't believe me. He thinks I'm vulgar, but I feel like I'm suffocating. I have to grasp for breath. So what's happening? The African, when he lived in Africa without no clothes, his skin and his pores was digesting the oxygen to feed his body. But that was wrong for the African to do. But this girl now is showing it. And all of us that wear clothes, We are full of anxiety and nervousness and a whole bunch of stuff. But we have to wear the clothes because the Caucasians say if you don't wear it, you go to jail and you're savage. So I said, so you get frustrated, you get angry, you get sweats. I said, I don't have to ask the second question. She said, why? I said, because you have confirmed what I've been entertaining all my life. But you see, the things I entertain, I cannot share with my brothers and my sisters and my friends. I said, because it is too controversial. Yet consistent, but controversial. I said, what you're lacking of is oxygen. And the oxygen of the black race does not go through his nose hole. It goes through his body pores. You will never see a naked man crazy. I have done it so many times. When people have delirium tremens, or plain old insanity, I say, take his clothes off. Take his clothes off, and I gave him a compound, and he calms right down, because his body will be receiving more oxygen. But I'm covered up. All you see is my hands from hair to hair, and from hair to hair. My cells are dying under there. Do you know what happens when cells are deprived of oxygen? No, you don't know. You don't know. They talk about AIDS being the result of a germ, a virus, or a bacteria. No. They've never been a virus or a bacteria or a germ. Never in existence. Nature never made those things. That would be counterproductive. So for every virus, a new medicine. Look how that sounds. If you take a healthy man and lay him down on a bed, and don't move him for 1 month, raise him up, and behind his back you have a bed so that big, with microbes eating him out. Well, the clothes are not going to make you have a sore immediately because you have some circulation, some place, but your skin is going to begin to deteriorate, and they call it wrinkles. Deprivation of oxygen causes cell erosion. Cell erosion is uncontrolled mitosis. But the healers in New York was giving you substance to deprive your body of oxygen, and then because I came, getting the result that the Usha Research Institute has been getting, they had a meeting. Just get rid of this man. What does that say about the healers today? You see what happens when information comes. The nervous system tells you when that information is right. There is something in you, even if you deny that information, you're going to pay. You see, I know, I'm a recipient. You see, when I heard the information, I want to fight it for a moment with Ms. Holloman when she said, go back and do research in industrial agriculture. But now, when I give the information, I get anger. What do you mean, brother? I can't even count where you get your information from. Don't even do that one, because I have never been to any school. So my information did not come from a white man.
Come on with it.
It came from a mom, from a mama, you know? And it's there we're along to eat. So now we face it with our children. If our children now are to eat good, what are they going to eat? So we're going to have to now design a diet, which we have at the Usha Institute, a diet that is not as consistent as the African, but it would cause no deterioration or less deterioration of the cells. But if our children drink that cow milk and eat that sugar consistently and eat that meat, whether beef, lamb, or whatever, so what? We're not interested because we're not interested. I call the NAACP. They say, I don't want to hear your philosophy. I said, sir, I have no philosophy. What do you mean you don't have a philosophy? I said, sir, if I had a philosophy, it may differ with life itself, then I would be in danger. But if I have no philosophy and join life procession, I'll be saved. So, sir, I'm giving you something from life procession. I cure all the diseases they say are incurable. He said, I don't want to hear it. Slam the phone down. I called Dr. Whitten Detroit, who is head of the Sickle Cell Research Foundation. I said, Dr. Whitten, I cure sickle cell. He said, you cure sickle cell? Big deal. I'm not interested. Slam the phone down. I went to Howard University, and I told Dr. Castro. Dr. Castro happened to be from Ecuador. He is head of hematology. I said, Dr. Castro, I cure sickle cell, and I heard that you are head of hematology. He said, you cure what? I said, I cure sickle cell. He You see, I am not, I told you, I am uncompromising. When I know something, I'm going to tell you. If I don't know that something, I'm not going to tell you because I don't know. When I know, I know. I do not live in the zone of belief. I believe I saw Ali. No. Sebi, did you see Ali? No. Did you see Ali? Yes. Definite. Did you see Ali? Well, I believe. I'm not certain, isn't it? Where belief is uncertainty. And I do not live in the realm of uncertainty. Either I know or I don't know. But what happened? My race, my people, you, many of us, live in a zone of belief. So when I come with reality, it's going to be a challenge. So he said to me, have you written a book? I said, sir, why? Well, you know, if you haven't written a book, how would I know what you're doing? I said, I could bring you 5 patients right now in D.C. could show you that they had sickle cell no longer have it. That's proof enough, isn't it? Why need a book for that? I said, have you written a book? He said, I've written 3 books. I said, do you cure sickle cell? No. You see? You see the inconsistencies? But we were led to believe that to attain, I don't want to use the word wisdom because I do not know what wisdom is, or knowledge, because I don't have those things. Because I would be the least to have those things. Because I didn't go to school. But we were led to believe that to understand, to dissect, you had to go through quite a few pages. First, the child had to go a 5, and then he goes to 13 or whatever it is, get his something, and then he go get another one named high school, then a BS, then a PhD. No MA, then PhD. But what happened is that every step of the way you are humiliated, and in that humiliation, fear comes in. If I have a 5th grade education, I look down on the one who had 1st grade. If I have a high school diploma, I look down on the one who didn't have high school diploma. If I have a BS, I look down on the one that didn't finish high school or didn't have a BS. If I have an MA, I look down on the BS. If I have a PhD, I look down on the MA. But now that you have the PhD, you know who wrote the philosophy and the paper and the perspective that gave you the PhD? A white man. So you're humiliated, whether with the PhD or the MA or no school at all. Well, I prefer to take the non-educated because then I am free. I am the product of my mama. So we're not going to do that. Why is it that the educators in nutrition, don't they recommend eggs and bacon and butter as a form of protein? Well, brother, a very intelligent argument. Brother, no, I'm not going to use a brother in the sense. I'm going to go back to Washington. Dr. Steinberg and Dr. Gluck. There's a young sister by the name of Akila Strauss suffering with sickle cell anemia since she was born. The father brought the child to me at 2 years sickle cell, and said, Dr. Sebi, I want my little girl to be treated by you. So he snatched the little girl from the hospital, brought her to me, and hid her in Maryland. And we treated the little girl. 2 months and a half, 3 months later, Silver Spring. 3 months later, they have this warrant out for my brother. His name is Stroud. He's down in Minnesota. Trying to remember his other name. Stroud said, look, I need for you to go with me to the Georgetown Pediatric Department. I said, for what? Because I have a warrant for my arrest for not allowing my child to receive adequate care or medical attention. And I could be incarcerated and my child could be taken away from me, and I do not want that. My child no longer has sickle cell. I said, how do you know? Because I took her to 5 doctors and she no longer had 1 cell sickle. I said, just go. So we went in there, naturally, Caucasians sitting there, white Caucasian woman. and I'm a black man, they have no respect for me. How could they? When they represent the very establishment that teach every black child and every black person. So if I was a white woman, and you come in front of me as a black person, I'm not going to have no respect for you, because I educated you. But no, baby, we have to educate ourselves now, and independent to that Caucasian education, and do our research independent to that research, because that research failed them. What do you think about us? So she said, Dr. Steinberg, Dr. Glutt, the sheriff, and another doctor, a French doctor, she goes through my dietary program. And she flipping the pages really rough. She said, now look, the little child brought to me was intravenously fed for 2 years. All her little life. Came back after 3 months, she's playing in the hallway with the rest of the little kids without the pain. Without the upper pulmonary disorder, because sickle cell, again, is malnutrition. Sickle cell, but wait. I like to veer off my subject and then come back, but I don't want to do it now because this is very tedious. She said, well, Dr. Sebi, I didn't see where you made any recommendation for protein in your dietary formulas. I said, this woman doesn't know that she's making a mistake here. Look what she's doing. Oh boy, did she let herself wide open? She said, what about protein? I said, what about protein? What is protein? She said, what do you mean, what is protein? Protein is one of the 19 amino acids, the building block of life. Numbers again, 19 amino acids. You see these numbers keep popping up. I said, what did you say? Protein is one of the 19 amino acids which are the building block of life. Am I quoting her correctly? Yes. But is it true? No, according to their story. Well, thank you, but black people knows only that. I am not blaming black people or my brothers and my sisters for knowing only that, because that's all they gave us. But what happened, he didn't realize that one day, one of us was going to find a lie in it, and that's all it takes, a thought. And it changes perspective now. She said to me, well, you disagree with protein, Dr. Sebi? I said, well, wait. Look, you are not even looking at the results. Look at the little girl out there. She's playing. When she was brought to me, you had her under your care for 2 years, feeding her protein. How many times a day did you feed her protein? For breakfast, for brunch, for lunch, for snack, for dinner. You fed her protein 5 times a day. If protein was so equitable, I think Akita would be healthier with you than with me, since it has been omitted. So I would have hoped that you didn't use protein as your premise or point of departure. Well, are you disagreeing that protein doesn't exist? I said, but man, I am a product of life, and whatever substance going to assimilate in me has to come from that same perspective, life procession. It has to be electrical. Why? Every element on the planet has a definite amount of electrons per atom, distinguishing one element from the other. A definite amount that distinguishes one from the other that they could only unite with its own kind. Now, man, what is the electrical value of protein? I don't know. I said, but man, if you're going to use something as your premise, you should know something about it. Will you use that against me, trying to derail my ability, and you know nothing about it? I said, you mind if I ask you one question? What is sickle cell? She said, sickle cell is a disease that black people contracted in Africa 10,000 years ago because the cell went through mutation. I said, our cells went through mutation? She said, yes. I said, well, if our cells went through mutation, then there must have been some extreme environmental condition to cause that, isn't it? I said, but man, when did that happen? 10,000 years ago. I said, man, why is it that your story differs from Dick Gregory? Dick Gregory said that sickle cell was given to us by God. to fight malaria. I mean, when I heard that come out of Dick Gregory's mouth, I started seeing God as a Star Wars disease God. I said, look at this. God gave me one disease to fight another. How does that compute in our black head? That God going to be so cruel to give me a disease that in itself is devastating. How could my biological structure be so equipped because of the presence of that disease to fight another disease? Does that make sense? But you see, who educated Dick? Dr. Steinberg, brother. And Dr. Steinberg is supporting that particular philosophy. I said, man, sickle cell is malnutrition. Sickle cell is when a child has been deprived of iron. The black man being electrical, being so high in carbon, some people call it melanin. And this is why I've been noticing the argument of melanin. Melanin, melanin, melanin. Melanin never existed. That's another word from the Caucasian. That's why they cannot find its origin in the body. It's mentioned. I could invent something and say it exists. How would you know? Words. Listen to words. Levitation. Levitate paper. But does the word exist? But have you seen something levitate? No, you have not. The word unicorn exists. Is there any unicorn? But the word exists. You see? We've been derailed. We've been removed from our mother. So in talking about nutrition, it's not just food. What kind of food? And how do we go about it now? And I thank Brother Sonny Carson for taking the time to penetrate that other layer. Because remember, we're growing. We're not as antagonistic towards one another anymore. I don't see Muslims fighting Christians or Christians fighting Muslims, and so, no, that does not exist no more. We finally begin to realize we are all brothers and sisters. I do not want to hold you up any longer because I could talk on and on and on and on. But we want to understand that the time has come that if the Caucasians deprive us of our food from our children that is equitable, complementary, then what is he saying? Genocide. It's genocide. How could you feed the computer a substance that will erode it? Thank you very much. We cannot allow that. Because our children are us. I was fortunate. I am married to a woman that has never, her children was out of her eyes for 1 second until they got to 8 or 9. Not 1 second. The breast fed from her up to 4 years. That's all my son had. So I didn't have to worry about son being in some babysitter. No, feeding him something that is, inconsistent. I didn't suffer that because of the wife that I have. She dare not send her children out to anyone, any institution of any kind. Cesar sucked her breast for 4.5 years, and that's all he had. And I asked him one day, why did you stop? Well, Mommy said it was hurting her. But it was good, Daddy. I said, Daddy had it good. And one day that boy came to me and said, Daddy, just go to the mountains. Drove me to the mountains. Said, I have something to tell you. I love you very much, Daddy. And he put his face against his forehead. And he's only 7 at the time. He said, Daddy, I love you very much, and you know it. But Daddy, I love Mommy so much more. I said, who did you come out of, Mommy? Who breast milk you sucked for 4.5 years, Mommy? So why are you telling me you love her the way you love her? And he drew back. He said, does that mean that she's supposed to be that? I said, yes. Does that mean that your mom is that to you? I said, yes. My mom is still that because my mom will live with us. I said, so you see how easy it was? He said, no, you don't have to fight. Because your mommy did one thing, I am doing another. No competition here. If that's the way you feel, you're right. Because we came out of a woman. My mother always told me, every living king knows that when a child comes into the world, male or female, it comes out of what? A male or a female? No, I don't think we want to really say that. We would not want to say that every life comes out of a woman. Because if God is a man, he must have had a mama. If he did not have a mama, then he was a freak. Because all natural life comes through a woman. You see? Very simple. But that again is a shaking kind of a thing. I wasn't shaking because I was not holding on to any philosophy. So I had nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose. If I eat carrots and someone say, hey man, you eating that stuff? Yeah, but don't eat it, it's no good. Well, where did I get that information from? Some Caucasian nutritional book. So I dropped the carrot without no hard feeling because the information wasn't mine anyway. So why be bad? And all the information we have, if a man was to walk through these doors and say drop everything, don't get embarrassed. It wasn't yours anyway. Because the information you had that is yours, you left it back in Africa. So, I am ending. I am ending. This is only the beginning of a journey with Brother Sebi, who is so interested in the life of the black race. That's right. Save that child. At the ending of every lecture, would you hold on 1 minute, please? At the ending of every lecture, I always like to have a bit of question and answers, because it is there where everything gets hot. And I like it. I do not function too well when I have free will, because I do not learn anything when I talk. But when you ask me questions, depending on the question, I learn too. Because we're brothers. I'm not wiser than you. I cannot be wiser than you, and especially the women. They have to be more equitable because we came out of them and we sucked their breasts. Here is a man who came out of his mama, suck her breast, and turn around and say, you leave me, you follow me now. I mean, now this is kind of insane. So now, I want to open up for question and answer, because I don't want to hold up this meeting any much longer. Yes, first one over here and then the brother and the sister. Yes, yes sir.
Yeah. It's not so much a question, it's probably just a point of view.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Before we go into point of views and making statements, let's just try to finish this segment with people.
No, it has to do with what you were talking about. Very much.
Okay, brother.
No, it had to do with, you kept talking about numbers, and I got the feeling that you didn't like numbers, and that numbers seemed to come out of a white man's point of view. But I was just thinking that when I think of numbers, I think of African tradition, and I think of Indian tradition from Mexico, and you find that in African traditions, they had developed melting furnaces that were 10 times hotter or twice as hot as anything produced in the Industrial Revolution. And when you look at Mayan Indians, you find that they have supposedly a much more accurate calendar than anything produced, again, by Western civilization. And when you look at Incas, you find that they had temples like the Egyptians, like Africans. They had pyramids that were constructed, that were very geometrical in their structures. So I just kind of got uneasy feeling.
I understand, and you have a right, that's what I said. When new information comes, it seems to cause the nervous system, to jerk the nervous system. I live in the when you think of Egypt, you think of the pyramids being a preserver. No. I could take a black woman from Louisiana, 80 years of age, and take an 80 years of age woman from Egypt, and boy, her skin is wrinkled, not from Louisiana. Because there is no humidity in Egypt. Water supports life. There is none in Egypt, only the Nile. So when you use the Maya and the Inca and the Egyptians together, you bunch them up, we are confusing and confounding the whole journey. It's not the same journey. The Egyptian had to create all these artificial things to survive. Because that was what the black man was doing, you know, like the elephant. You see, Egypt is a graveyard. It's the graveyard of the black man. The elephant, when he's getting ready to die, he goes to his graveyard and he lays down.
That's the white man's title.
Now we go. Now we go to Egypt. We find that there is no humidity in Egypt. You can build a house, you don't have to put a roof on it. And you've seen that, right? They don't have to put a roof on Egypt. But there's no humidity. There is no electricity in Egypt. Electricity is present only when there's a cloud hovering around. And lightning comes from that cloud. That is electricity, isn't it? And rain comes with it. Egypt will never see that. So about numbers. Do you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 in the pyramids? Inside of the pyramids? If there were numbers, the Japanese would have been able to do that. Because the Japanese are the best copies. And when they went to Kung Fu, they just begin to imagine how did they put these 1,000-ton stones up there. Then they had to scale it down one half that, one half that, and they went right down to 1/50th the size. And they wind up using a nose cone to put, a helicopter to put the nose cone on it. Numbers were not made by nature. Remember what I said. Nature only makes things that support life. Mathematics does not support life. It's for mechanics. Mechanics deteriorate.
Next.
Yes. Just you.
Yeah, I have a 13-month-old daughter, and I thought I was doing good, with her diet, giving her only organic foods and all vegetables and fruits and all that stuff. And she just, in the last few minutes, totally wiped out her whole diet.
Destroyed it.
Yeah, so my question is, what
That was so good.
am I going to feed her tomorrow?
Good.
I told you some of these little died tonight.
When my son stopped sucking his mother's breast, I went to the ocean and I got the sea moss. The sea moss has every mineral there is on the planet except one, which is iron. Sasa was eating sea moss and drinking his Maya tonic, which his father made. So about nursing, in fact, my child was in New York just a month ago, and the fellows was asking me, well, how come your son doesn't eat? I never seen your boy eat. I said, he doesn't eat but once a day. And when he eats a little bit of vegetables. And he eats that only to fill a need, I suppose, but his nutrition comes through the electrical food that I feed everyone that comes to be cured.
Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me how to eat once a day.
That's true. Now, so therefore, as for your child, if you want to know what to feed your child, you just come to the Usha Institute. In fact, it was because of that I received an award in Washington for changing the nutritional value of young mothers from 14 to 20. I received the award because what I recommended was equitable. And they were healthy. The child didn't have a runny nose, didn't have fevers. The coughing, the mucus which you hear rattling in the child's chest. All that comes from cow milk or soy milk. They both are dangerous. Almond milk is dangerous. Next question. Up there.
Yeah, I would like to compliment you for such a strong lecture. But in relation to, you were making comparison with the polar bear and the ape. Now, if we take that comparison and apply it to Earth, how do we apply it, being that we're integrated now, being that we're mixed with the white man who came from, an ice area, Europe, and we came from a tropical area. Actually, we integrate half and half from, of that person. So doesn't that change our diet there? Instead of making it wholly African, instead of part African, part European?
I'll tell you what. The predominant gene remains black. And it complements, regardless to the mixture. We have been impregnated. Sure. It's like taking a pail of milk and dropping 1 drop of petroleum in it. Just 1 drop of petroleum. It's no longer a pail of milk. It has been adulterated. But the adulteration does not really change the genetical structure of that milk so much. Or the molecular structure of the milk, not genetic structure, but the molecular structure of the milk. 1 drop. The pulsation of the African American is much higher than that of a Caucasian. When a Caucasian impregnates a black woman, her ovum is twice or is 100 times bigger than ours still. But in energy, it is more than his. So she determines, like in the male also. So even though we've been impregnated or adulterated, the predominant gene is still black, because that is the original gene. Right. Next question.
2 more, Doctor.
Yes.
I heard you say on WLIB that the African didn't eat cassava. You said that cassava is a hybrid plant. Yet somewhere I think in the Amsterdam News a few years ago, I read that cassava, if you eat cassava, that it cures sickle cell, or eat some ground vegetables from Africa. And I thought that cassava is indigenous to Africa.
You thought? You see, she lived in the zone of belief. She was told, she read, but she doesn't know. Sister, nature doesn't create starches. There is nothing in nature that is starch. Nothing. You know why? You see, when a burdock plant grows, you go to a burdock plant to get iron from it. As the plant matures and it rots back into the soil, it is composed of what? Iron. So when it decays to iron again and replace that back in the soil. But if something is starch and it decays and goes back in the soil, doesn't that hurt the soil? Because starch is carbonic acid. As for the cassava, I know what you were saying. The Africans eat cassava. I don't even have to start with the Africans. Just go all the way back to the Egyptians. Weren't they eating wheat? Weren't they eating ducks? So they were pioneers all the way back 10,000 years. So the African of today is a recipient of an impregnation by the foreigners. Cassava was made in Portugal. Cassava contained arsenic. I live in a country where cassava is eaten every day, 3, 4, 5 times a day. And there is someone in this audience that is from Honduras who will verify that too. Cassava is dangerous. But what? Because it grows in Africa, it makes it indigenous to Africa? Well, I'll tell you what. I was sitting at the table with Muhammad Ali at the Marriott Hotel in Washington, which I knew I was wasting my time talking to Muhammad Ali. Because Muhammad Ali's brain is in Europe. And I could see it. So I said, boy, this goes, why did he send for me? I wonder who he thinks I am anyway. But I'm going to sit with the brother. And I said, look, I want to talk to you. Don't you open your mouth and tell me anything. What I have to say to you is that if you allow me, I could have your body back where it was 20 years ago. Are you game or you don't pay me? Which is it? Oh. Call my wife to see Veronica if she wants me to take your substance. I said to him, hey man, is your wife sick? Or is it you? I mean, I don't ask my wife those kinds of questions. I mean, it pertains to the business, yeah, but when something pertains to me, I'm independent to my wife. And independent to everybody. So you were sick, I'm not going to call your wife. So anyway, we argued for a little bit, and then we went to dinner, and I sit there with my salad. Muhammad had his French soup with onions. But don't French soup with onions have cheese in it? Then you had this beautiful salad with grated carrots in it. I said, Mohammed, no. Mohammed, don't eat that soup. Why? You got cheese in it, fella. That's a dangerous substance there for black people. And don't eat that salad because it has carrots. An Egyptian was sitting at the table, Mahmoud, the Egyptian from Cairo, the professor. Here's an Arab that is stuffing himself with lamb and expect for me to have respect for his thinking. No, I didn't fall the sky with yesterday's rain. Arab, you have no brain. That's why your eyes go bad very young. Because you eat the substance to bring erosion to the eyes, barley and a lamb. Don't worry about it. Keep on eating it. The Arab Mahmoud said, Dr. Sebi, I beg to differ with you. We grow carrots in Egypt. I said, Mahmoud, I don't care where you grow carrots, but carrot grows in Egypt naturally. I said, hey, you know, Mahmoud, you are an Egyptian that has been trained white. All you Arabs are white in the head. Every Arab eats Iblis food. You're one. This was made in Holland, boy. But since you, Mahmoud, read the Caucasian books and now bring that to me, behave yourself. I got up and I went home. Next question. This is the brother.
You mentioned about melanin that it doesn't exist.
What is it?
So they say that melanin, the coloring in the system that comes from melanocytes, I don't know.
You know something? Do you hear what the brother said? They said. You see? This is why if any one of you saw the Tony Brown Journal, I stated, for us to know what it is, we're going to have to do independent research to that of the Caucasian.
Right.
The word melanin is Caucasian. But the base of life is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Without that, there is no life. So, enough for the melanin bit. Last one. The sister has to ask the question.
If one did not have access to the African herbal mineral balance, could one achieve health without disease, and how?
I mean, I wish there was another way. But when I told the judge that she and the doctor that was supposed to be placed in front of me, a man with that much credentials, Dr. Victor Herbert, who could not argue that the point that I made, that every food or every substance given to the African American, once he was taken away from his mother, was poisoned. He could not disagree with that. There's an article out in the magazine, what's the name of it? Advantage, that says, what am I going to eat? Because you didn't bring my food with me. You see? No, there is no other diet. Not yin-yang, not microbiotic, not allopathic, not homeopathic, not Ayurvedic. Because look, let me say it in closing. There is no one on the planet that suffers more with glaucoma than Arabs. Why? They eat lamb and barley. There is no one that suffers with kidney problem more than an Indian. If you go and check all of the dialysis machines around the world, you're going to find that 80% are Indians. Why? They eat ghee, clarified butter that crystallizes in the kidneys. So you see? Tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you how you think and what state you are in. No, there is no other diet. There is no diet on the planet consistent genetically with the black man, as they call us, but the African bio-mineral balance. And thank you very much.